A man would more likely feed his family than go to feed another man's woman because they have an aligned interest. But in the case of a divorce, unless the man has so much feelings for the woman that he says, okay, I'll continue to support you even without the court saying I should pay child support, he still says, I want her to have this. I love her so much. But under normal circumstances, when there's a split of interest, the money stops flowing, the love stops flowing, people turn to enemies because they have conflicts of interest on. A man is moving things into a new house and you step in and help him move his things. When he sees you the next morning, he's a lot more incentivized to behave friendly to you, to say hi, hello, come in and have some tea, because you have helped him already. You should have base principles that you work by. You will not align with everybody's interest. There are some people that are whose interests are evil. They are pure evil, and you shouldn't align with them. That would ruin your life. So a man has an interest to rob a bank. Let's have a look at alignment of interest. It is very good for a person to do what he already had in his heart to do. But to make a person do what he did not want to do would be to set up some grounds for betrayal. If a person in his best interest has no need to betray you unless he's at gunpoint or something else happens, there'll be really very little probability that he will betray you. If hiring him and giving him this job helps him feed his family and do stuff, he is incentivized to keep working with you, to stay with you. If you do not pay him his salary, he's incentivized to leave your company or maybe report to you. People really stick with what favors them. Well, unless there are some certain circumstances where people seem to have a desire for higher things beyond themselves. They are quite selfless because there is something else they want. Maybe some people that believe in something higher than them. But under normal circumstances, if you feed a man, he desires to help you because you fed him. It's a natural kind of response to help received. But if a person has a different desire to fight against you because by feeding him you stepped on his ego and you made him feel worse about himself, then he is incentivized to come at you and tear you down or speak negative about you. That's why there are some people who receive help but fight against their helpers because the helper helping them went against their own interest. There are people's interests. It differs from mind to mind. It could be the same among different minds, but when you have a conflict of interest, then you see a group fighting against another group. When the interests align both in what they're doing and in what they're thinking, you see people work together. It's best to find people who have the same interest as you so that you do not fight these unnecessary battles. You see a company of 1,000 people, people come together to work. Some are doing it for the salary, fine. Some are doing it because they have really good thoughts about the vision. They want to see it come to pass. For example, look at SpaceX. People are working at SpaceX and they think that we want to get to Mars and we want humanity, to want to advance humanity. Whether you pay them so high or so little, they are there for the vision. Some are there for the salary. They may be as skilled as those that are there for the vision, but they it aligns with your interest. But when you start reading in and looking at people's way of behavior, maybe those that are there for the vision will function better than those that are there for the money. But if someone is so there for the money and the money is solving something so great for him, he may even work as well as those that are there for the vision, whose desire is, let's say, pure in quotes. So if you're hiring someone who has a very different direction from you, who is not there for the money, even if he is, but he's there to tear you down or he's a spy, his interest is different from yours, there will be conflict. Someone who is lazy and is not coming there to do anything, there'll also be an issue. When you're looking for people to work with you, look for those that have an alignment of interest. How do you find out what a person is thinking? How do you find out if your interests align? It's good to sit down and have a chat, to talk and find out what do you expect? What are your expectations? What do you want? Under usual circumstances, they may tell you, I'm here because I have a pregnant wife, I have children to feed. I need this job, I need to do this. That's the reason I'm here. Some may tell you plain, some may not tell you plain. Some people hide their intentions and remain there. But over time, as time passes, we can unveil people's intentions. It shows by people's actions, by their fruits, you will know them. There is no way that two people can walk and achieve something together. They cannot go in the same direction unless they agree. Going in the same direction can be indicative that they agree in their minds. You're on a plane going over to, let's say, Canada. Everyone going directly to Canada, they have an intention of landing there because the plane is going there, the intention is there. Anyone who is on that plane is either there by mistake and doesn't want to have anything there and cannot get out because there is no parachute and he just sits there and just lands in Canada. But it's safe to assume that everyone who is on that plane has the intention to go to Canada for whatever reason, but there is an intention, and the intention can be verified by their action. So, if you look into your life at people who have betrayed you, they were more incentivized to betray you than to stay with you. It's best to trust that people do what they have always been doing, except things change. But it's safer to assume that people would do what they have continued to do. And it's also safe to assume that people would do things that are selfish. Selfish in a way that they would do things that benefit their own interest. So, if you step on a man's ego, he will fight you. He would, maybe not physically, but he would find a way to get back at you because you stepped on their ego. There is a law of power that says that we shouldn't outshine the master. If you outshine the master, now you have incentivized him and given him an interest to fight against you because you outshined him. So, if you openly correct a man, especially your leader, you have stepped on his ego, you've made him look bad in front of his colleagues or juniors, then his interest is more aligned to fight against you. But if you join a man's company and all you do is your job and you do it so well and you do it so nicely, he is incentivized to help you to increase your salary. That's if you do not choose to, go up and say to him, I've worked in your company. What can I do in your company that would help me get a higher pay, a higher salary? And it may be a promotion. If you do your job so well, others would be incentivized to come and help you because you are positioning yourself in a way that it is in their best interest to keep you and to promote you. So they feel like they are doing something so good of their own desire, but you aligned yourself so well in that company that it just aligns so well with their interest that they go on to stretch their hands to do good to you. Not because they are so good, but because you're aligned with their interest. For a week, do not come to work, do not give any notice that you're coming late or you're not coming to work. You may be fired. You have aligned yourself away from their interest and they are incentivized to not work with you any longer because you two are not aligned. When there are some things you do and you make it easier for a person to do what they should do, and there are certain things you do and you make it difficult for them to do what they are supposed to do. If every day you see a man on the street, you help him out. Let's say you give him £5, or maybe you give him 200 lira, or you help him out. If you're being jumped on the street, the man is likely more incentivized to help you because he kind of knows you guys have had an interaction. If you were a complete stranger, he may say, I do not want to get myself involved with those guys. But you had gotten in alignment with his interest that if anything happened to you, even without having to say it, he would come to your rescue. That's why a man would more likely feed his family than go to feed another man's woman because they have an aligned interest. But in the case of a divorce, unless the man has so much feelings for the woman that he says, okay, I'll continue to support you even without the court saying I should pay child support, he still says, I want her to have this. I love her so much. But under normal circumstances, when there's a split of interest, the money stops flowing, the love stops flowing, people turn to enemies because they have conflicts of interest. If you look at a lecture in school or in your faculty, the lecturers seem to love the best student because the best student is aligned with the interest. The teacher wants the students to understand what they teach, to look like they understand what they teach, to have good grades, to have A's in their subject. So that's why they are more inclined to love the one who passes their subject because the interest align. It is a lot more difficult for them to love the one who fails all their subjects. It is human nature. People love those who love them. Usually, people hate those who also hate them. This is against the teaching of Christ to do such. But for the human nature, which is baseline human nature, it is a lot easier to love people who love you and to hate people who hate you. To help people who help you, to do in return to someone what they had done to you first. So when you understand this, as you understand this, you know that people do what is in their best interest. Usually people do what is in their best interest. How you made them feel, how you made them look, what you made them experience, then they're like, I need to do this back to you. I feel like I should give this back to you. Try this on people's birthdays. Buy cakes for them. Just, oh, I heard it's your birthday today. Here's a gift for you. On your birthday, they will be a lot more incentivized to buy a cake for you. But look, let's say in the past years you've not been receiving birthday cakes. Nobody is quite incentivized to do that for you because it maybe is not in their best interest. But maybe if there is someone who likes you a lot and he says, oh, I saw on Facebook that today is your birthday, I felt like buying some cake for you, it aligns with your interest. There are a lot of people on earth, not all of them will buy you cakes. Some do not know you, some know you, but they have other things to think about than buying you cake. There's a way to slip in to people's interest, what they're really thinking about, what they really want done. A man is moving things into a new house, and you step in and help him move his things. When he sees you the next morning, he's a lot more incentivized to behave friendly to you, to say hi, hello, come in and have some tea, because you have helped him already. Usually people receive what they give. Align with people's interest. Well, I should say this because it seems that my speech is going in one direction, but I should correct it in the other. You should have base principles that you work by. You will not align with everybody's interest. There are some people whose interests are evil. They are pure evil, and you shouldn't align with them. That would ruin your life. So a man has an interest to rob a bank. You wouldn't say, okay, well, let's help him rob the bank. No, no. You should have some interest on yourself that I'm not going to do this because that is who I am. You get what I mean? If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, like, give a thumbs up, give a comment if there is anything you think I missed. If there is any situation where you thought your interest aligned with someone, but the interest at the end looked like they do not align, you could also tell us in the comment section about some stories, about some things you experienced. There are some people that they get together in a relationship, but when family comes and says, I do not want you to date that guy, because her interest is a lot more aligned to the family, she says to the guy, I can no longer date you. And there are some people who date, and when they receive love from someone who is a lot more attractive than their partner, they're a lot more incentivized to leave their partner and go somewhere else. Now, as for people in relationships, it is good that these two do stuff that would help the other person's interest grow, that would feed and help the other person's interest. There are some people that are easy to love And there are some people that are difficult to love because they make it so hard for you to do what you should do in terms of loving. So the husband should not keep himself away from his wife, and the wife should not keep herself away from her husband. Do not punish each other by keeping your bodies away from each other. Maybe say words of affection, or you know what the other person expects from you. Even if you don't ask, they will tell you. You know, those things help the two align. It's just easy for them to love each other because they are doing things that are in alignment to each other's interest. But when the interest begins, when the interests are not fed, then they're a lot more incentivized to run away from each other or to look for it in a different place. They wake up in the morning and they're not saying good morning to each other anymore. And the other is thinking, don't you love me anymore and stuff, but doesn't say it out loud till the feeling festers and grows, etc. Well, that may be a chat for another time. Thank you very much for watching. See you on the next video.